Hey, so just a disclaimer before the video starts, this is actually a re-upload because the original upload was blocked by Warner because I used footage of the video for the Flavor in Your Ear remix. So I had to edit a few things out and, yeah, hopefully it doesn't get blocked this time. Just wanted to get that out of the way before the start to avoid any confusion. And yeah, fuck you, Warner.
Niggas say I'm pussy, I dare you to stick your dick in this.
Christopher Wallace, otherwise known as Biggie Smalls or the Notorious B.I.G., is without a doubt one of the most iconic rappers to have ever lived, and I'm pretty sure no one can deny that. The dude was insanely talented, and it sucks that he died at such a young age with such a small discography. He only made 2 albums in his lifetime, and the second one, Life After Death, didn't come out until 2 weeks after his death. Who knows what else he would have put out had he have lived, but alas, we will unfortunately never know. With that being said, Born Again. Born Again is his posthumous 3rd album released in December 1999, nearly 3 years after his death. Basically, it almost entirely consists of previously unreleased songs, whether they be freestyles, demos, or fully completed songs that are given entirely new beats, as well as guest verses from insert popular rapper here. So what do I think of it? It's not very good, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, it's not terrible. There is some stuff I like about it, but there's so much wrong with it that very easily could have been avoided. Technically, there's only 3 major problems I have with this album, but all 3 of those problems are done so frequently throughout the album and are so frustrating that it just kind of ruins the entire thing. What are those 3 problems? Well, let's start with the smallest problem, the production. Now, don't get me wrong, the production here is actually pretty good with songs like If I Should Die Before I Wake, Dead Wrong, and Rap Phenomenon, but a lot of it feels kind of unnecessary, because a majority of these songs already have original versions that were finished and also have way better beats. A perfect example of this would be Come On featuring Sadat X. That song was originally supposed to be on Ready to Die and was produced by Lord Finesse. And the beat is catchy as fuck. I honestly can't think of a single thing wrong with this song. It's perfect in just about every way, and I jam to it pretty much all the time. It's so good.
Come on, motherfuckers, come on, motherfuckers, come on, motherfuckers, come on.
However, Diddy ended up removing it due to Sadat refusing to give back a check that was accidentally sent to him. It did technically get an eventual release on this album, but instead of using the original, they just went ahead and replaced it with a remix produced by DJ Clark Kent. Don't get me wrong, the album version is also good, but it doesn't have anywhere near as much charm as the original. The original is a lot funkier and more energetic, and the type of song I could imagine hearing during a fight or chase scene in some action movie.
Release the brainstorm to make your motherfucking brain warm. A strange form, something kinda lyrical.
The remix has a much slower pace and kinda drags on, which is hilariously ironic considering that it's 20 seconds shorter than the original. Plus, the lyrics don't fit quite as well with this version. They fit with the original because the original had a much more intense beat. This beat just kind of exists. Also, don't think I wasn't able to hear you self-inserting into the hook, Diddy. I have ears, I know that's your voice, you can't fool me.
Come on, motherfuckers, come on. Come on, motherfuckers, come on.
It just seems so unnecessary for them to have changed it when they literally could have just used the original, and I'm pretty sure no one would have noticed or cared. Although there is the possibility that they were forced to change it because they lost the licensing to the original sample or something. Kinda like how they were forced to change the beat to Dangerous MCs due to Busta Rhymes refusing to give Diddy the original. In fact, that could be a possible reason for all the other beat changes. Either that, or Diddy just wanted them to sound more quote-unquote modern, which if that were the case, it'd still be unnecessary nonetheless because like I said, most of these songs were already finished. If they were to be released with their original beats, I'm pretty sure no one would have cared or gave a shit. But then again, this is P. Diddy we're talking about, so obviously he's gonna go for the more profitable route. Now, like I said, this is the smallest problem I have with this album, because there is the possibility that they were forced to change the beats, which doesn't change my opinion on the new beats, but it would at least make sense as to why they did it. That is, if that was the reason they did it. However, the production on this album is nowhere near as infuriating as the endless features. Yeah, I really mean it when I say endless. Do you want to know how many individual artists appear on this album? Go ahead, take a guess. Okay, screw it. There are in total 29 people that appear on this album, and they take up every single song with the exceptions of, I kid you not, 2. Yep, you heard me. There are only 2 solo songs on here, and one of them is literally just a bonus song from Ready to Die. So that technically means that this album is only 10% Biggie and 90% guest artists. You have got to be shitting me. Now don't get me wrong, I have nothing against feature-filled albums. In fact, I absolutely love Life After Death, and that album is filled with guest people. But what differentiates that album from this one is that 1, Biggie was alive during the making of it and was actually able to choose who he wanted, and 2, the features on that album only take up about half of it.
Not the entire fucking album with the exceptions of 2 goddamn songs.
And well, yeah, half the album is still a lot, but at least he still has enough solo stuff on there to even it out. What makes it even more infuriating and even more pointless is the fact that some of the original songs on here were solo and didn't even have any features. For example, the opening and title track Notorious B.I.G. or Notorious. The original song Road to Riches, or the other title which I can't say out loud, was a freestyle he did in 1995 over some death row beats, and the song's 3rd verse was used in this version. Let me repeat the 3rd verse. What happened to the first 2 verses? Well, I have no clue what happened to the 2nd verse, but the first one was used in another remix of the song from a few months prior to the release of this one that appeared on Diddy's album Forever. Why they couldn't just use all 3 verses to make a solo version, I will never understand. Oh, but you think that's bad? Wait until you hear that they mess with songs that already originally had their own guest artists. For example, Let Me Get Down. Biggie originally recorded that song with Craig Mack in, I think, 1993. The version they put out, however, completely cut out Craig's verse and replaced it with 2 extra verses by Missy Elliott and G Depp, with him only being heard on the hook. Are you fucking kidding me? Now, no disrespect to Missy or Depp. Missy's verse is pretty good, and Depp's verse is just alright, I guess. But was it really that necessary to cut Craig's verse out? And well, yeah, he isn't completely cut out and still appears on the hook. Cutting his verse was just so goddamn pointless. I mean, apparently Biggie and Craig hated each other in real life, so I guess that kind of explains why they might have done it. I'm not sure. But regardless, the way the album was handled has actually kind of convinced me that the people at Bad Boy have never heard of the term work smarter, not harder. Okay, so ignoring all of what I just said, how good are the features themselves? They're actually not that bad, honestly. One of the biggest criticisms I've seen of this album is how unfitting the collab choices are, because of the fact that Biggie never worked with, nor did he even know some of the people featured here. And while yeah, that is true to some extent, the features themselves actually don't really bother me all that much. I don't know, it might just be personal bias, or the fact that I really like most of the people that appear here, like Eminem, Busta Rhymes, Snoop Dogg, Missy Elliott, Ice Cube, and Nas to name a few. Plus, since most of these people never actually worked with him, at least to my knowledge, it's kinda cool to see them actually on songs together, even if not all of them are perfect. Yeah, not all of them are particularly that good. Dangerous MCs is fine, but the beat they used has nothing on the original beat produced by Jay Dilla. Hope You Sleep isn't inherently bad, but the fact that they used Biggie's original 2nd verse from Dead Wrong is just weird to me. They could have just used the other 2nd verse that appeared on the album version, but whatever, it's fine, I guess. Notorious is just a much shittier version of Mo Money, Mo Problems. I mean, the beat's alright, and Lil Kim's verse is fine, I guess, but Diddy's verse fucking sucks. He doesn't sound like he gives a single shit, and I can't even understand what he's saying most of the time.
The bitches, you see them rims spinning grin, that shit with the beat trimmed and wing.
It's like you're speaking some other language.
The other title track, Biggie, also isn't really that good. I mean, the beat's really good, but I'm not really a huge fan of anyone here aside from Lil Kim. I don't know, I'm just not really a huge fan of Junior Mafia. Also, why does Biggie himself only appear on the hook?
Representing Bucktown, Mac 11's cock back, niggas better duck down.
I get that the song's meant to be a tribute to him, but like, why even include it on the album if he's barely in it? It just makes no sense. And wait a second, where have I heard these vocals before?
Junior Mafia representing Bucktown. Mac 11 cop back, niggas better duck down.
Well, I guess that brings me into my biggest beef with this album, the reuse of already released vocals. Probably should think of a shorter title for that one, but yeah. Yeah, of all the things this album does, this is the one that enrages me the most. Actually, it's kind of ironic how it's the thing that's done the least. Basically, of all 16 songs on this album, not counting the intro or outro, a total of 5 of them reuse Biggie verses from songs that have already been released. For example, I Really Want to Show You is just a remix of Everyday Struggle. Tonight is Long Kiss Goodnight. Rap Phenomenon is just Keep Your Hands High by Tracy Lee. Big Booty Hose is just Busted Nut by Luke. And his hook on Biggie is just recycled from DJ Eddie Uff's Let's Get It On. I know it's only 5 songs, but the fact that this was even done in the first place is just downright insulting, and it really proves to me that Bad Boy really only cares more about profiting off of Biggie than they do about artistic integrity. While most of these songs do work as remixes, I think the worst part is that the tracklist tricks you into thinking that they're original songs. I mean, think about it. How likely is it to you that a first-time listener would be able to realize that Rap Phenomenon is a remix of Keep Your Hands High just based off the tracklist alone? Not very many, huh? In conclusion, Born Again is an incredibly flawed, dated, and lazy cash grab of an album that only exists to profit off the legacy of a dead man. There may be some hardcore Biggie fans that actually do like this album, and if they do, good for them. I personally do not recommend it at all, and I don't particularly plan to check it out ever again. Thankfully, Bad Boy stopped milking Biggie's legacy after the release of this album, right? Right? Wait, what? Motherfuck!